Mitchell with the Rabbit Hole VR here. Today we're going to talk about the basic terminology you need to know as you vet and select VR attractions for your facility. Whether you're a seasoned operator or just getting started with your business, understanding these terms will help you navigate and enhance your VR operations. So let's get started. First up, let's cover some of the basic hardware terms. Virtual reality currently requires a headset. This is of course what the players wear to be transported to the virtual world. You might sometimes hear manufacturers refer to these as HMDs or head-mounted displays. Then we have the controllers. Not all VR attractions require controllers, but those that do refer to the controllers as what a player uses to interact with the virtual world while inside the headset. Many VR systems also have an operator PC. This is the computer used by the VR operator to manage and control the VR experience for the players. Whether an attraction is unattended, meaning it requires little to no staff involvement, or attended, meaning it requires a team member to facilitate the VR experiences, your VR attraction will include some sort of operator PC or panel. Now, let's dive into some more of the specific software terms for VR. You may hear people refer to the launcher software or the launcher when vetting VR systems. This is the program and interface that enables you to start or launch a VR experience. Whether you're dealing with single-user VR booths or multiplayer VR arenas, the launcher software facilitates the management and monitoring of those sessions. Next, we have the Guardian or boundary system. In the context of VR, safety is paramount. This system is your virtual barrier, helping to ensure players know where the virtual world ends and the real world begins, even from inside their headsets. It usually takes the form of a virtual grid, appearing when players get too close to real-world objects. Then we have calibration. Calibrating your equipment is the process of aligning your VR hardware with the real-world environment, ensuring that the movements users make in reality are accurately mirrored in their virtual experiences. You may recall an earlier video in the series on categories of VR. If not, I highly recommend you start there to learn more about the types of VR attractions available. We're going to go a little more in depth here, starting with seated VR. As the name suggests, seated VR is tailored for stationary experiences. These are your racing and flying simulations and VR coasters, where the primary experience is happening while the player is seated. Next, we have standing room only VR. In this setup, players have a designated spot to stand, making it ideal for attendantless attractions. It provides a limited space to stand or sit without the ability to walk around. Then we have room scale VR, which is a bit different than standing room only VR. With room scale, players are afforded a play space, typically around 10 feet by 10 feet, granting them the freedom to move around within this boundary. However, movements beyond this space within a game will require teleporting or some other form of movement with the controllers. Conversely, there is free roam VR. This type of VR gives players a larger play space where they can freely walk around to move their character inside the game. Players see virtual versions of other players to prevent them from hitting each other. Other terms that manufacturers sometimes use for free roam are hyperreality or arena scale VR, because it allows players to experience more realistic movements in larger play spaces, often called arenas. And that wraps up our brief guide to VR terminology. Remember, a solid grasp of these terms can easily enhance your VR selection and operations. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, game on.